They blinked. For the last 3 weeks, the state of California has been playing a high-stakes game of chicken with 20,000 working families. They sent out the letters, they set the date, they told 20,000 commercial drivers that on January 5th, 2026, this coming Monday, their careers were over. They expected you to fold. They expected you to panic. They expected you to quietly hand over your keys and walk away from the industry you built. But they forgot one thing. Truckers fight back. Breaking news out of Sacramento. The California Department of Motor Vehicles has officially caved. After weeks of pressure, after the threat of a complete supply chain collapse, and most importantly, after a mass class action lawsuit was filed by the Sikh coalition and the Asian Law Caucus, the state has agreed to extend the cancellation deadline. The January 5th execution date is dead. The new date is March 6, 2026. If you are watching this and you are holding one of those cancellation letters, take a deep breath. You just bought yourself 60 days of life. But I need you to listen to me, and I need you to listen closely. Do not confuse a ceasefire with a peace treaty. This is not over. While the DMV is retreating, the federal government is reloading. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy isn't just threatening fines anymore. He is threatening to detonate the entire California highway budget, $160 million, if these licenses aren't purged by the new deadline. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Marcellus with Trucking with MBR, and on this video, we're going deep. We aren't just reading the headlines. We're going to break down the specific law arguments that saved your job. We're going to expose the clerical error, the lie that started this mess, and we are going to analyze the dangerous trap that might be hidden inside this extension. If your livelihood depends on the CDL, this is the most important video you will watch this year. Let's go back to the beginning to understand exactly how we got to the brink of disaster. In mid-November and throughout December 2025, the California DMV began sending out notice to approximately 20,000 CDL holders. These weren't your standard time to renew postcards. These were termination threats. The letter stated in cold bureaucratic language that the driver's commercial driver's license would be downgraded to a standard Class C non-commercial license effective January 5th, 2026. Why? The DMV claimed it was a legal presence issue. They stated that these drivers, most of whom are non-domicile CDL holders, had not properly verified their residency or legal status timeline according to federal standards. Now, the media, and let's be honest, certain politicians immediately tried to spin this. They tried to paint a picture that these 20,000 drivers were illegal immigrants who had jumped the border and were joyriding in 18-wheelers. That is a lie, and it is a dangerous one. The vast majority of these 20,000 drivers are legal visa holders. They are men and women with valid work authorization. They have social security numbers. They pay taxes. They pass the background checks for their hazmat endorsements, and they have been driving on our highways safely for years. So why this sudden purge? The DMV admitted quietly that this was due to a clerical error on their part. For years, potentially over a decade, the California DMV's computer system has been allowing drivers to renew their CDLs without re-verifying the specific end dates of their visas in the federal database. The DMV system was effectively saying, yeah, it looks good, without double checking the paperwork. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the FMCSA, conducted an audit, found the error, and told California to fix it. But instead of fixing it gradually, instead of giving drivers a reasonable window to come in and update their files, the DMV panicked. They decided to nuke the entire list. They gave drivers less than 30 days during the Christmas and New Year holidays, when freight is chaotic and DMV offices are closed, to fix a complex bureaucratic problem that the state itself had created. It was a setup. It was designed to fail. But here's where the story changes. Here's where the little guy actually landed a punch. The drivers didn't just accept it, they organized. On December 23rd, just 2 days before Christmas, the Sikh coalition and the Asian Law Caucus filed a class action lawsuit in the Alameda County Superior Court. I have read the court filing, and it is a masterclass in exposing government incompetence. The lawsuit didn't just ask for a favor, it accused the California DMV of violating the due process clause of the California Constitution. Here is the legal argument, and it is powerful. A professional license, your CDL, is considered a property right under the law. It is something that you earn, something that you pay for, and something you rely on to feed your family. The government cannot just take away your property without adequate notice and a fair opportunity to be heard. The lawyers argued that sending a letter 30 days before a deadline during the busiest trucking season of the year, while the DMV's own appointment system was crashed, does not constitute adequate notice. They argued that the DMV's actions were arbitrary, capricious, and contrary to law. They pointed out the absurdity of the situation. You have drivers with valid work visas who are being fired simply because the DMV's computer didn't sync with the DHS computer fast enough. The lawsuit demanded an immediate emergency injunction. They asked the judge to legally force the DMV to stop the cancellations. And here is the secret. The DMV knew they were going to lose. Any judge looking at those facts would have sided with the drivers. You cannot fire 20,000 essential workers because you made a clerical error. It's un-American, and in California, it's illegal. So the DMV blinked. Rather than walk into a courtroom and get embarrassed by a judge, they voluntarily issued the extension. As of yesterday, the new deadline is March 6, 2026. Now, if the story ended there, we would be popping bottles. We would be celebrating a total victory. But we have to look at the other side of the chessboard, because while Sacramento is backing down, Washington, D.C. is gearing up for a fight. You have to understand the political timing here. We have a new administration in the White House. We have a new Department of Transportation, and we have a new Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy. Sean Duffy has made it his personal mission to clean up the CDL system. He is the one who ordered the audits in the first place. When the news broke the other day that California was extending the deadline, Secretary Duffy didn't see it as protecting due process. He saw it as defiance. He went on the record, and this is public, accusing Governor Gavin Newsom of harboring unqualified drivers and playing politics with national safety. And he raised the stakes in a way that should terrify every resident of California. We talked about how he threatened Minnesota with a $30 million cut. That was a warning shot. For California, he is bringing out the heavy artillery. Secretary Duffy is now threatening to withhold $160 million in federal highway infrastructure funds if California does not purge these non-domicile licenses by the new deadline. $160 million. That pays for the I-5 expansion. That pays for bridge repairs in the Bay Area. That pays for the pothole crews in Los Angeles. Secretary Duffy tweeted out a warning that was crystal clear. California does not have an extension to keep breaking federal law. If they miss the deadline, the DOT will act. So look at the position you are in. You are no longer just a truck driver. You are a pawn in a massive political war between the state of California and the federal government. California wants to give you time to fix your paperwork to avoid a lawsuit. The feds want you off the road immediately to prove a point about immigration and safety. And if push comes to shove, if it comes down to saving your job or saving $160 million, who do you think the politicians are going to choose? They will choose the money every single time. This leads me to the most critical part of this deep dive. I want you to listen to this with your skeptical hat on. I believe this 60-day extension might be a strategic trap. Think about it from the government's perspective. Right now, they don't know exactly who is who. The database are messy. That's why they sent letters to everyone. But now the DMV is saying, hey, you have until March the 6th. Come into the field office, bring your documents, update your status. What happens when you walk into that DMV office? You are self-identifying. You are handing over your current passport, your current I-94, your current visa. You are updating your home address. You are giving them a fresh, clean data point. If the federal government follows through on these threats, if they force California to share that data with ICE or the Department of Homeland Security as a condition of getting that $160 million, the very act of trying to fix your license could be the thing that flags you. We saw this happen in New York with the no-name CDL scandal. Drivers went in to fix their names and they ended up flagged for fraud investigation. Now, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because you need to be smart. The DMV is acting like they're your friend right now because they don't want to get sued. But come March 6th, if the feds are holding that check hostage, the DMV will turn on you in a heartbeat. So you have 60 days. The clock is ticking. What do? Step 1, get your paperwork bulletproof. Do not walk into a DMV office with maybe paperwork. If your visa is expiring in 2 weeks, don't go. Wait until you have the extension. If your residency proof is shaky, fix it. You need to walk in there with documents that are undeniable. You need to be so legal that even Sean Duffy himself couldn't find a reason to deny you. Step 2, build a war chest. I know rates are low. I know fuel is high, but you have been given a 2-month warning. If March 6th comes around and the cancellation happens anyway, you need to be able to survive without driving a Class A truck for a few months. Save every penny. Do not buy a new truck. Do not take on new debt. Step 3, the pivot. This is the most important one. The entire situation, the letters, the lawsuits, the federal threats, it all proves one thing. The OTR game is rigged. When your entire career depends on whether a bureaucrat in Sacramento pressed enter correctly, you aren't truly free. You are building a house on rented land, and the landlord is crazy. I have been preaching this for a minute, and I'm going to keep preaching it until it sinks in. You need to own your own lane. You need to get out of the interstate crossfire. The box truck business, the final mile delivery, the local delivery business, this is where the safety is. Why? Because when you are running a local carrier service or a medical delivery route or an appliance installation business in your own city, you aren't crossing state lines. You aren't triggering federal interstate commerce audits every time you stop at a weigh station. You are a local business owner contracting with other local businesses. The cartels aren't bidding on local appliance installation contracts. The federal DOT isn't threatening to cut funding because you delivered a sofa in San Diego. It is a protected relationship-based market. If you are sitting there today holding one of these cancellation letters, breathing a sigh of release about March 6th, please use this time to pivot. I have a free course right here on the channel. I don't hide anything behind a paywall. I show you how to buy the truck. I show you how to get the authority. I show you how to get the contracts, the specific website and brokers to call. I show you how to build a business that can't be canceled by a clerical error. Go watch it. Spend the next 60 days building a life raft so that if the ship goes down in March, you are already floating on your own boat. Let's recap because there is a lot of noise out there and I want you to have the facts crystal clear. Fact 1, the deadline is extended. You are safe until March 6, 2026. Fact 2, the Sikh coalition lawsuit is the reason. They fought for your due process rights and they won. Fact 3, the feds are furious. The $160 million threat is real and the pressure is going to increase, not decrease. I'm going to keep tracking the court case. There is another hearing scheduled for late January. If the judge decides to make the extension permanent or if he decides to throw the lawsuit out, I will let you know. And I'm watching the DOT. If Secretary Duffy makes a move on that funding before March, it's game over. Until then, get your paperwork right, keep your nose clean, and start thinking about your exit strategy. Check out the video on the screen right now. I talk about the rolling sweatshops and how a whistleblower exposed trucking dirty secrets. On this video, I break down exactly how these companies are exploiting labor to gain an unfair advantage and why honest owner-operators simply cannot compete with fleets that refuse to play by the rules. And make sure you smash that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your post notifications. Stay safe, watch your six, and keep it between the lines. Once again, it's Marcellus with Trucking with MBR, and I'll see you on the next video.